Bechukosai, Yom Lamed Gimel Ba'omer, Shnas Tov Shenayin Zayin, Yeshiva Tiferes Avigdor. Today, Klal Yisroel experienced the loss of a major Talmud Chacham, HaRav Shmuel Yakov Borenstein, he was an outstanding Talmud Chacham. He was a unique personality. The Gemara Moed Katan Daf Chav Hemed Beis says, Ki noch nafshei de Rabbi Yochanan, when Rabbi Yochanan died, Pasach alei Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar. Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar said, Kasha hayom li Yisroel, this day is kasha li Yisroel ki yom ba hashemesh batzaharoyim, like the day that the sun set in the middle of the day. This statement, this saying that the sun set in the middle of the day was said by the Navi regarding Yeshayahu HaMelech. Yeshayahu HaMelech died at a young age. But there are some individuals whose personality and whose being shed so much light upon the face of the world that on them you could say, Keba Shemesh B'Tzaharayim. He was, when I was a Behar, learning in Eretz Yisroel, they said that the biggest Ben Torah in Eretz Yisroel was Reb Shmuel Yakov. At that time, he was learning in the Miri Yeshiva. He was, number one, a massive Talmud Chacham. The Gemara says that someone who sees a Sefer Torah getting burnt, he has to tear two kriyas. One kriya on the gvil, on the paper, and one kriya on the ksav. A Talmud Chacham is called a Lebediker Sefer Torah. You have to know that we have to tear not just our garments. You have to know this was a loss of the greatest magnitude. You have to know that a Talmud Chacham is the gvil upon which the Torah that he learns is written, and it becomes for 70 years upon this earth. He toiled in Torah without a gevul. He toiled. He was a person who was like pasak, pumei, and he was machadish, and he clarified. He elevated. He was a person that you could say on him was the greatest loimid al menas lases. The din is when you learn, you're supposed to learn al menas lases. So one of his rabbeim, Reb Meir Chodosh, Zechariah Levracha, Mashkiach of Hebron, used to say the greatest almanas lasos is to learn in order to be a Talmud Chacham. The Mitzias, the creation of a Talmud Chacham, is the greatest lasos and the greatest asiyah. The Chazal say, Ma hayayin nicker beguf, when somebody drinks wine, it becomes recognizable in his guf. Kach divrei Torah nikarin beguf. When a Talmud Chacham imbibes Torah, it's nicker in his guf, and people point with their finger and they say, "Oh, das is a Talmud Chacham." His first wife was a cousin of my wife. So I got to know him personally after I got married. He was a person that was shoylet in every area of Torah. He was a lamdin, unbelievable. He toiled. He learned Kol HaTorah, not just the Yeshiva Shemesechtes. He learned, he knew other Sfarim. He was such a Chacham. He was such a yearner, a shoyef for Chachma. He knew Gemara, he knew Rambams, he knew Chumash, he knew Machshava, he knew stuff, everything, Musar. He was amazing Baal Musar. He yearned and he desired to hear. He was, by me, my life, the picture of the ultimate Talmud Chacham. He was a Talmud of his Rabbeim like you can't imagine. He always spoke over from his Rabbeim. He was a Talmud Reb Chaim Shmuel Levitz, a Talmud Reb Nochim, a Talmud Reb Shmuel. He was a Talmud by Chatzkel Sarna. He was a Talmud. He was just a Talmud. He was just a Talmud. Talmud from Rav Hut. There's a Talmud from Brisk. He was a Talmud. He was a loimid mikol adam. The man was a Torah magnet. He just wanted more and more. He found Torah so zis. When you spoke to him, you saw his desire, his geschmackheit in Torah was unsurpassed. He was a person that spoke about his Rebbeim. He held his Rebbeim in the highest esteem. It was a tremendous Rav Shach. When he put out his first sefer, he went to Rav Shach and he asked Rav Shach for Haskama. And Rav Shach gave him the Haskama. And he said, whatever I write is totally extra and unnecessary. because I'm not coming to testify. Usually when somebody writes a sefer, no one knows about him, you go to a Rav who knows you, and he writes a sefer testifying about you. He said, I'm not coming to testify about something which is yadua, known, umeforsim, it's public knowledge. Shmoy hoylech lefanov, his name precedes him. Eitzel kol anshe haTorah, he is a known entity by all anshe haTorah. And ubetoich kol hayeshivas, in all the yeshivas, midabrim, they speak berigshe kavod, in terms of great honor. Al HaRav hagoyin hamafursim baki bechadrei Torah, and the great famous Rav baki bechadrei Torah umechadish gadol, great mechadish hamashke mitayrosei ladarim, gives to drink the masses from his Torah. What can I add and say in Askama on the Sefer, he says? He says, you know what Shach is telling him? What kind of persona this is? What I had heard about him before this Askama was Takevis. What I was going to say about somebody something, but it's Lav Davka. When he put out a Sefer, a Chumash, he went to Michal Yehuda leftwards, and he wrote Ima Haskam on a Sefer. And it's interesting, he wrote it in its writing, and then when he printed the Sefer, they typed it up, the letter. They wrote both copies. You see, he wrote in his handwritten copy, he wrote, Lemailis Kevoid Hagoyin Hagodol Amud Hayira Yedid Elyon. He was a yedid of HaKadosh Baruch. That was what he was. There was no suffix when you met him, and you spent a little bit. And he writes, his anivus is such, it's just unsurpassed. All the goynim, all the Ma'iri Hadar, all the greats of the previous generation held with him Neirik. Now when he writes it over, he changes the titles a little bit. He minimizes the titles when he printed it up to take out stuff they wrote about him. You have to understand he was a person that he was what you call an ohuv. Is a Mishnah of, as it says, kol ha'isik b'Torah l'shma nikra reya, and the ohuv. He's called the friend and the beloved. So Reb Chaim Volozhiner explains that someone who's Isaac b'Torah, the more bahasmada you do Torah, the Torah attaches itself to you more. And he says that's the pshat, that the Torah becomes your friend. If you get more into Torah, the Torah becomes your oihev. Hashem loves you. Means Lashon is shegam ha-Torah oihev esoisai. This pasuk, the Torah has a koyach, the pasuk, and it's often a pasuk. It says, Ani oihavai oihev, those who love me, I love. You have to understand, he was a person, if you met him, he exuded love. In his Ben Adam L'Chaveiroi, he was amazing. He was a class by himself in his Ben Adam L'Chaveiroi. He was mekabel, a person with such savor panim yafis, with such amazing love. A lot of times people who are very big Talmidei Chachamim, they have things on their mind. They're preoccupied. The man was always ligging and learning and preoccupied. But he had a zamin koyach to be mekabel people ba'ahava, it was unsurpassed. The Mishnah says in others that kol mi sheyesh bo shloisha dvarim halolu mitalmidav shel Avram Avinu ayin toiva ruach nemucha and nefesh shvala. When a person has these, he's a Talmud of Avram Avinu. Rabbi Yaina writes that what's unique about these things that are mentioned are koilel kol hashleimus, include all of shleimus, even though there's many chalokim, there's many aspects to shleimus. Means that the whole order of midas that surrounds a person is broken up into three parts. There's bein adam l'makim, there's bein adam la'atzmai, and there's bein adam l'chaverei. And the fundamental midas between bein adam l'makim is another, humility. The opposite is arrogance. Even though it expresses itself between man and his fellow man, and between man and himself too, but the main area is between Adam L'Makim. And then there's a midah between one and himself, is a nefesh shvala, somebody who doesn't have demands, someone who is capable of precious, someone who is misrachek from the Tiferes. And the fundamental midah between man and his fellow man is ayin toiva. That produces the greatest. What is hatava, what is chesed, rachamim, and all the good midas. You have to know that he personified these midas. He was a true Talmud of Avram Avinu. In spite of the fact of what he knew, he had the most greatest deference to anybody who came over to him, any bocher, any younger man who came over to talk to him with azam and shmeichel. He never praved. He gave you such a smile. He gave you his hearts. You could see his hearts coming out. And you saw his ayin toiva. He only wanted the toiva for everybody. He felt people's pain. He was an honor, be'emes an honor. Between him and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was an amazing honor. And he was a person that had his stapkus, the person that personified HaShLITA me'as Hashem. He would say over from his Rebbeim, how was a person zoiche to be a Talmud Chacham if HaShLITA me'as Hashem? He would say Oisa, his Rebbeim. He said over the name was a Rebbeim. It says Oisa avakesh, if you seek it. The Gemara says in SHLITA by SHLITA, it says Oisa v'lo acheres. Oisa means it and nothing else. That was what he was loved by everybody. Gedolim loved him because he loved the Torah. He was so full of love. I mean, to talk to him on the phone, it was amazing. I remember he once came to a Beis Medrash, and he noticed there were two Talmidei Chachamim, outstanding Talmidei Chachamim, sitting on the same bench. One was sitting on one end, and one was sitting on the other end. And he noticed that after he said Good Shabbos, each one of them wanted to talk to him. And he was very happy to talk to both of them. But he noticed when he went to one, the other moved away. And when he went to the other one moved away. And he noticed that they didn't say Good Shabbos to each other. Afterwards, I was talking to him. He says, "Did I chap right, or was I just?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I saw these two outstanding Talmidei Chachamim. It seemed to me that even though they're on the same bench, I didn't notice them saying good Shabbos to each other." I told him, "You're perceptive." I told him, "You're right." He said, "What's it?" He told me, "What's the pshat?" I mean, two great people. How can it be that they don't talk to each other? I said, "I'm not sure. I don't know the details. It's just how it's been for years. I heard it started in the teens, and it never got better. Each one imagines that the other one is against him, or mevatel him or something, not machshiv each other." So he said, "I'm not leaving here until this is corrected. This must be corrected." He couldn't imagine such a thing. He loved both of them, Avos Nefesh. And they both loved him, Avos Nefesh. So he sat down with both of them, and he would not, it would take a Talmidei Chachamim. He was taking the Talmud Chacham that was Marbe Shalom Bailam, and he brought them together, and he made peace for once and for all, but he wasn't satisfied with that. He was afraid it was going to be a cold peace, it wasn't going to hold. So he wasn't satisfied until he established a chavrusashaft between the both of them. That's what he wanted to do. They had a chavrusashaft. They learned together, and he showed how each one made a mistake, and they're both chashiv, and both think each other a chashiv, and what's your kayach, what's his kayach, and shayach to, and Pasha, he was amazing. I told him, only you can do it, no one else can do it. His anivus was amazing. He used to call me for a number of years before Rosh Hashanah. I said, "What are you calling me for? I should call you?" No, I want you to give me a bracha before the year starts. I say, "Please." I told him, "This is mamish embarrassing." I said, "What in the world are you calling me for? What are you doing?" He said, "No, I'm telling you, you have a koyach of tefillah like nobody's business." I told him, "Shmuel Yakov, the man was known to be a mispalel like nobody's business. His tefillahs were pashut, split the heavens. He davened Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur from his heart, like when he davened for the Amit, it was not the hearts was there with his kishkis. You saw him daven. It was lo yu'umin. It was nicker. People said, "Who was that? Who was that?" He didn't know. He was a man that davened his tefillahs for unnerved. And he said to me, "I met some people who you were makarev to Yiddishkeit. And someone, the Gemara says about Mitzia, that someone who brings people to Yiddishkeit, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, their mouth has HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ears." And then he told me, and then when I go to, so he said, "Therefore I want a bracha for the new year for you." I would go to his house to visit him, he would call me aside, and he would say, "Daven for this person." I'll never forget the first time he said to me, "Daven." I said, "You didn't live in Bnei Brak." Do me a favor, please, I'm telling you, it's going to make a difference. And then he said, the guy has a pakak, the guy can't, the tefillahs are not going through, the guy can't get a shidduch, he's out the bocher, he's tzibrach, and he needs a shidduch, and he finally had a shidduch. He called me up, he said, "You should know, it was your tefillahs." I said, "How do you know?" "I'm sure it was Reb Chaim Kanievsky's tefillahs." I'm sure it was Alice. No, he was certain. He was an amazing person. That was his av. His tefillah, every time I spoke, when he heard my Zayda put out a sefer, I want to get a hold of it. I want to read it. I met him a year later, it's a new one. He told me right away about it. Mamish, I appreciated what I liked about it. What he saw the avodah. He saw he was a man. He asked me once, "Can I go to your Rebbe? I want to have a shaykhs to Rebbe." I said, "You want to try to May? Okay, sure, why not?" I said, "Let's come to May." He said, "Sure, why not?" He came to my Rebbe, and he Shomer Rebbe, he say one of his svarim. Rebbe told me afterwards. Rebbe was sitting and reading it. Told me afterwards, it's all good. Rebbe told me, it's all that's Rebbe was very spoiled from him. And I thought, and he was like with such an honor of thank you, I appreciate it. You can't imagine, there's nobody he wasn't close to. Ramosha Shapiro, whatever person had something chokhmah to offer, he was the biggest mivakish chokhmah that I met, and the biggest talmud that I met. He was a talmud par excellence. Tiferes, his davening. When he davened, he shuckled. He went at the davening like it was from the Avodah Kasher Avigdor. His limud Musar was unbelievable. He meant it. He learned Musar from the Kishkin. He's a man that's going to be truly missed, because you know why? He was from the. Whenever I saw him, I saw an individual who was such a representative of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He was a representative. This was the cream of the crop of the Torah world from post-Europe. He was the cream of the crop in the covet of Hashem, in the covet of Torah, in the Avos HaTorah. Never spoke harshly. And every individual, he saw his koyach, and he gave him his covet. He's going to be sorely missed. And his greatness was, you would think, wow, this guy must have a great life. He had a very hard life. Nebuch didn't have any children. And I once talked to him about it. He had a reason why he thought he didn't have children. It's amazing. He was such a oizge cheshbon to mensch. He tried and he fought. He beseeched Hashem. He beseeched G'daylim. He went to Mekaymas HaKadoshim. And he stayed with his wife all the years. It's a big thing. His wife was nifter before him. Davened for her. She had Yanamaisa Nebuch. And he spent lots of effort, lots of koiches. He appreciated her, what she did for him. He spoke highly of her. He was just a glory of mankind. That's what he was. Sometimes you have a mensch that's a very fine person, but it's a glory to himself. You don't see the glory as representing somebody else. It's not to find a mensch. He's a person. His covet that he personified was the covet of Torah, the covet of Hashem, the covet of G'daylim, the covet of Rabbanim. He was a person that you wanted to learn Torah when you walked away from him. You wanted to learn more Torah. He could talk in Chumash and Divrei Torah, Brisker Rubs, and whatever morals. It didn't make a difference what, where, when, how. He was a man that was kind of such a shame type. Such a shame type. I don't know anybody else that's such a shame type in the world. Such a shame type. We have to know that Sfarms say that when somebody leaves the world, so his Gemara refers to leaving the world as Shavak Chayim L'chol Chay. Those words mean he leaves over Chayim L'chol Chay. What kind of terminology is that? And this forum explain that the pshat is that a person's maisim and a person's kinyonim and a person's midas, when he dies, become hefker. And any Jew who chooses could be zoiche in his nechasim, in his assets. One person can say, I'm going to be zoiche in his midah of another. Another person could say, I'm going to be zoiche in his midah of hasmada. Another person going to say, I'm going to pursue shalim like him. Another person, I'm going to be zoiche to be mechazik nebuchs in the world. Another person could say, I'm going to be zoiche to be a medaktik b'mitzvahs like him. Baruch Hashem, he left behind Sfarim on many Masechtas, published on Shir Hashirim, on Chumash, many other areas, on Tefillah, Yom Tovim, Chanukah, Purim, put out Sfarim, a lot of stuff. Not some from him, as yet unpublished. He also put out Sfarim from his Rosh Yeshiva, Reb Chatzkel Sarna, the Sefer Dalius Yecheskel, worked on it very hard because he felt he had a chiyuv to rectify. I once asked him, why did you undertake to work on this? This guy wasn't some kind of guy who worked on ksava. He had what to do with his life. Told me I felt I had to rectify something that maybe I once didn't bring covet. And I wanted to rectify it, and this was my way of rectifying it, by putting out his Sfarim in an honorable way. He worked in the Baron Kotler's Sfarim, worked on a lot of people. It was just a Klal Yisroel's going to miss him. And he was the kind of person that every person thought the same way about him. There was nobody who didn't think like this about him. Anybody who met him thought the same way. His varmkeit, he always took you into him. He looked at you in the eyes, and he always was huddling with you. He was always having a varma conversation with you when you were talking to him, whenever you met him. Where you from? A bach, where you from? Oh, he meant it. He meant it for emes. He was able to send him one Talmud. He told me, send more like that. Thank me, mamish. I told him, Mekarif. He said, of course I'm going to Mekarif him. He was Mekarif the Bacher outstandingly. Everybody wanted to eat by his house. His sudas were mamish, what do you call it? They were quality, classy affairs. There was no suda there of just eating. A suda Shabbos was malchus. His wife had a koyach. She appreciated. Everything was beautiful. Everything was down to everything was set just perfect. He ran and she stood next to him like a queen, and he ran it with divrei Torah, and he ran it with one after another, and always bachim around him. People fight to get to his house. Of course he could come, of course. It's so nice to see you. He waited and he did. And he ran these mamish affairs. He would sing the gunim. And if Bacha said, I want to hear a special niggun, I'll sing a special niggun for you. He was happy to sing special niggunim. People come to him, can you put it on tape? I want a special niggun. He knew Baruch Bear's niggunim. Sure, of course I'll do it for you. And he did it with such a varma hearts. He was unbelievable. That's done. It was never about him. It never appeared to be about him. It was always about you, Yenim. Torah lost a true friend. the world lost a true friend of the Torah, a true Talmud of Hashem. Bnei Torah lost an emissary, a shlucha d'Rabbanan. They lost somebody who brought them kavod, and the Rebbeinu Shem kavod. Kadosh Baruch Hu should help us that we should be zeicha. The mocha Hashem dima me'al kaponim, and we should cherpas amo yosir b'mheira v'yameinu. Amen.